I'd like to welcome in now attorney David Bianchi for more insight into this situation. David, thank you so much for your time. First of all, what is your reaction to these disturbing allegations and then charges?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm shocked. It's really hard to believe, isn't it, that this sort of hazing is still going on? You know, New York has an anti-hazing statute. None of the schools condone it, yet hazing continues, not just in the state of New York, but all around the United States. Since the year 2000, 100 college freshmen have died as a result of hazing. And these were high school guys, I understand that. But hazing is alive and well in high school also. And part of my reaction is that I give a lot of credit to this prosecutor, because you may remember that in 2019 at Cornell in Ithaca, Antonio Cialis died after a night of hazing. He was a college freshman. They hazed him, and he was found dead the next day at the bottom of a gorge. And it was a night of horrific hazing. And the prosecutor in Ithaca never filed a criminal charge against anybody. And it was just crystal clear what the hazing consisted of. So I give a lot of credit to Mr. Fitzpatrick here.
Yeah, because this certainly could have had a very different result, as you just discussed there. David, what do you think about that initial offer for these individuals to turn themselves in? They were given 48 hours. They would receive a misdemeanor versus potentially facing felony charges if authorities had to track them down. And then considering that all 11 suspects did, in fact, surrender to authorities.
Well, I can understand why he did it. Look, this was not a random hazing incident. This was planned. If you believe what we see in the press, those who were doing the hazing were hiding in the woods. This was a pre-staged, pre-planned event. They were dressed in black. They may have had a gun and a knife. So it was carefully thought out. And then when they put him in the trunk, they could have been charged with kidnapping, but they weren't, but they could. So I can understand why some people were disappointed with the severity of the consequences. Maybe society is better off by scaring these high school guys and hoping that they never do it again by giving them what is essentially a slap on the wrist. But even with misdemeanor charges, they could have gone to jail for up to a year. That's not going to happen. But I can understand the rationale for offering it. And you just have to hope that they've learned their lesson.
Yeah, and how do you think the fact that, minors are allegedly involved in all of this impacts things? Because when we're talking about the victims and then we're talking about the suspects.
Yeah, these guys aren't minors in my book. They may have been 17 instead of 18, which is the dividing line. But the way I see it, they're not minors. When you're conspiring with your friends with a gun and a knife and a kidnapping, you're not a minor. These aren't kids. They were doing an adult-like crime, and they're very lucky that the consequences are not more severe.
And last question for you, David. What do you think ultimately happens here?
Well, I think that you'll probably see the school district implement a more rigorous anti-hazing program. I suspect you'll see that. But I will tell you this. Every major college and university throughout the United States has a very significant anti-hazing policy right now. And yet they still have hazing take place all the time. So you can adopt all the policies that you want to, but it's not the magic cure. But I do think you'll see stricter education requirements for these sports teams at that high school. And I think the guys who did it hopefully have learned a lesson. And the parents better get on this too. Because if you want to make sure your son doesn't end up in jail sometime soon, you better sit down and really tell it to him like it is, because your son is super lucky that he's not in jail right now.
Yeah, really good points there. All right, attorney David Bianchi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.